my biggest question is, who did Nolan go back with? Yo, what's going on YouTube? So I'm back with another video. And before we get in this video, yes, I had to re-record so many times because the volume wasn't right. Nothing was working. But I'm making sure to get this to you guys because this is so important. Because what I'm working on is a Nolan Wells um, case. And I'm doing it in a storyboard way. And I just want to simply paint the picture of what it might have looked like on certain scenes. And you got to remember, I am not pointing the finger at anybody, at nobody. These are all just drawings that I went through and just walked through, and we just took the time to draw. I'm speaking like y'all was there. But overall, what my whole experience of doing this was to just, like I said, paint the picture. Give you guys something that y'all can look at versus what all the noise and all the chatter that's out here. And I'm just simply trying to do this where, yo, storyboard artists, we actually have a role we can play in this, as far as, helping out others and helping the viewer see the picture. Maybe we can't see, but if we got a visual, maybe we can point their direction where we need to. So we're gonna get through this, and I'm gonna do a voiceover over the recording I already did because I'm re-recording the audio part because it just did not come out right. So here we are, July 3rd. From what I read, it was said by his mother that they had dinner and he stayed at a friend's house later that night. This image is simply him walking out the front door. And you say, I love you, see you later. Let me know when you get there. And what I got is just simply him leaving out the door. Got the parents in the kitchen area. No, I couldn't get too fancy with it, but if you was looking at the image, you'll know what's going on. Like somebody's leaving out the door. Then we go into the next day. The next day, that's when Nolan was leaving the island, leaving the docks to go to the island. And what I simply did was just, now I'm just trying to pre-sketch. How would that look? How can I make you guys see what's going on? I can tell you that some people can't visually see it. Some people want to see just what it looks like. And all I'm doing right here is just drawing simple silhouettes, simple drawings, simple movement, little water ripples, and then the sand. And that's an ideal picture of how it would look if the boys were leaving off as they go into the distance on this boat as they travel. Just simply, storyboard is just a rough sketch. Rough sketch. So you can understand when somebody say action, but this ain't got action. And right there, that's just Horn Island in a distance. So you guys can kind of get an idea of what it looks like. Also, when I do storyboard, I like to do the shading so it can be easy to identify certain characters. But with this, we're not pointing fingers. We're only just shading, trying to get the idea picture of what's what. And for this scene, this is when they arrive at Horn Island. And what I was thinking for this shot was a simple over the shoulder behind the boys where they're looking onto the crowd. Most people can understand that and kind of see that visual. But, just say this is just what I'm getting on how it would look, for the boys if they was on the scene, pulling up at the docks. And they already see people out there because we already seen a few images of people at the beach. So I'm just thinking the docks might be close by. So what I'm just simply doing, simple sketch, easily drawn, just, a scene behind the boys. And they're going to be simply just looking onto the crowd. They see all the fun. They see all the excitement. They see all that going on. And they ready to get there. So that's how I would be if I know I'm close to the party now. Like, oh man, you get to see what's going. So just think of it like the boat kind of coming into the scene. And as they pass by, as they drift by or whatnot, that camera stays still, but you see them like looking on and they just passing by on the scene. Something simple. Nothing, and we can kind of see and understand what's going on. Keep in mind these colors are not identifying the character or the race or anything. We just drawn. We just trying to give a perspective. And that's what it is. And then we go to the next time. 431. Now, this is where I was going with this. Okay, how can I draw this? Okay. So say they did yell at the boy. Yell at Nolan. Like, hey, we about to leave. Come on. We about to leave out. So what I was thinking, kind of a static shot looking at the boat. The boat's ready to dock out. You got somebody on the steering wheel right here. And right here, you got somebody just shouting, like hands up, like, yo, Nolan, we about to go. Let's go, let's go. That's how that would be. That's how I think that would be. I had to fix the scene because I just did not like the proportions of it. It was just seeming like more uphill. It just didn't give that sense of flat. Yeah, so like once I got to working with the scene, I did have a little struggles with that on trying to how to depict the water that they're actually on. But I just said I ain't gonna spend too much time trying to put the razzle dazzle on it. So, but as you can see, one of the boys might be like yelling, like, yo, Nolan, we about to leave, whatnot. And I kind of see that as like, it's time to go. Because they said he left at a certain time. But, at 431, the boat part was probably already heading out, and then that's when the notification was there, like a certain speed was met. So it seems like they was leaving. And I just do two people on the land just having a conversation with each other or whatnot. And that's my idea of how it would look if the communication was set between the two on when they was leaving. And like always, I gotta do my shading so we can kind of, digest this color or whatnot. And that's how I would see this scene. Just a nice static view. Now, what I also wanted to include is that the phone was left on the boat. So I want to draw a scene from that too. Like, how would it look like? How y'all know that was his phone? Was it just sitting on one of the chairs that was on the boat, and y'all happen to see it with his phone and his keys? You know, and this might be later on as they traveling off. Keys right there, the phone right there, and the boat was already probably setting sail. Oh, that's my friend. I got it. I got it. I'll take it with me. And that's how ideal look of that would be. I could have did a top view, more of a perspective from like a 3/4 angle. Now we're at 6:06 when the boat had got to the docks. Now this is where I wanted to mention, and now it took 78 minutes for them to get there to Horn Island. Now, from Horn Island back, it was like 95 minutes, according to the GPS. And I'm just simply just drawing a dock here, and I'm working on the truck. Now, this angle was trying to trick you because how I had to figure it out. Because I've seen this before, but I haven't seen this in this angle. I just kind of went with a nice static shot, just looking forward. But I had to make sure I had the perspectives right and all the angles right. And also I had to have my shading there because shading played the key. Because who driving? We don't know. But we know that it went back on the docks or whatnot. Um, but that's something else to point out too. Like there, you got 78 minutes to get there to Horn Island in 95 minutes. Now it was said that they did go somewhere and then go back to that dock, so it was a short detour in there. And that's just something I kind of just realized as I go through this. Now we get down to July 5th. Now I had to include this, which this plays a part on how it would be, where there had to be a phone call. There had to be somebody had to deliver the message that, hey, we don't know what Nolan at. He didn't come back with us, but I wanted to call you and let you know. That's from one of the people that was there, and the phone call going to the mom. So it's just a side split screen. I'm pretty sure we've seen that before. Then we go into July 5th, which was, no, was it July 5th? Yeah, it was July 5th, because you had later on that July 4th, which is late that evening. Then it went into July 5th, that's when they had people looking. So this is where I wanted to draw like a helicopter view. You know, this is my first time drawing a scene like this. I think I did pretty good. This is how it would look if we was looking at something like this is a view looking at the helicopter, and then you look at the land below. And so I went ahead and finished the drawing up, and just simple trees or whatnot. But the how everything was played out on July 5th, they did not find him at all. They had people on the ground and they had aerial support, but they did not find him. And from this view, just say if that plane was going all the way around um, the island, it'd probably be different views. But I didn't want to get too fancy in this. I kind of just want to, if you was to look at this, you would know what's going on. You see a plane, you see an island. We know that we get the view of what's down there. And most time when you're looking down at the ground, if any type of movie, anything, you see what's happening below. They looking at something from below. And, we can all understand it. Then we had to go into the day that the call was made. And I just simply went with a ranger on the phone making a phone call. That just kind of a camera pointing in front of his face. And I didn't want to draw anything that was going to be to bother anybody. So I just kept it simple where we get the idea if we was following the story from beginning to end, we know what's going on. We know what's going on. And if there's words, we'll know, hey, I I found them. That in that certain degree. And I just wanted to keep it like that. Just keep it nice and simple. I didn't want to get all extra with it and didn't want to bother anybody with any images that might have been a bother to you. So I made the storyline, put everything down where we can all see together. Which we know we got July 3rd. What's the day he left? Then we got July 4th. That's when he was docking and leaving the island. You know, I think a storyline kind of plays critical to this because it's something I pointed out. Once again, not pointing fingers, but just something we can see, that I haven't heard from anybody else, Then, you got July 4th where they're boarding the island. They see all the excitement. They see what's going on. And just everybody's amped up and ready to go. Everybody's ready to have some fun. That's just it. Everybody's ready to have some fun. And it's just something that we can see. We can see it. Then we see later on that day, which is at 4:31. As you see, I got circle right there. I'm gonna point something out that we probably haven't seen or probably haven't heard. But I just wanted to shed some light on it on what possibilities. So that just a scene from when they're about to leave. You got one of the friends, one of the guys that probably came with saying, hey, time to go. You know. Um, then we can't forget about the phone scene. Just say the phone was left on there. So we get a kind of a extra scene, as the boat starts to leave. And then now you get the phone perspective of like, oh man, Nolan left his phone. Then also we get that phone call, later on that day. Hey, I just want to let you know Nolan didn't come back with us. And I just want to give you the heads up. You know, no mother, no parent should ever get that call. Then we got July 5th. That's when we got the area view of how it would look. How it would look. And then you got July 6th is where you get the phone call. Now, I wanted to point something out about that question mark that we're about to look at right there. Now, I think about that right there. My biggest question is, who did Nolan go back with? Because we got word back that the girl said he did leave. Then you got the people he came with, somebody saying he stayed on the island. So that raised the questions of, who did he ride back with? And I got to thinking, like, maybe he got on the boat, then maybe it was somebody else on the boat too that had a few drinks, because we know drinking was out there. Now, let's just see this. Say that drunk person wakes up like, yo, who this on my boat? Get off. I can't, in the middle of all this water. Just say. I'm just saying what the possibilities is. Are we looking at another boat? Because there was other boats out there. Is there a missing boat that could have the evidence that we might be seeking, and the possibility of justice that we're all kind of getting to? So it's just something to look at. And this is just an overall timeline of what the information I got. I took words and I put it into a visual board where we can all see. And maybe this might help somebody else out on how we can, what direction to go in. And man, just shed light on us storyboard artists. There's not a lot spoken about storyboard artists, but it's time for us to, really use our skills on what we can do. I know we're used to getting a script and going from there, but it's so much more that we can go to if we just, you know, not as far as being creative, but, going past your limits, going past what you can do or what you can do. And I'm new to storyboard, but I saw this story as an opportunity to shed light on what we might not see, what might be actually happening in the background. I don't know. But I'm not pointing any fingers at anybody. You know, like I said, I'm sorry that the family went through this. I'm sorry that the friends are going through this. I know this is time that we need to heal and get the right answers, get the facts, and where we can get things together. And I'm just a storyboard artist that just seeking growth. And if this is my way of growing where I can help somebody in a way, using my gift to help somebody, I'm open for it. I'm open for it. So I leave y'all with that. I'm Corey Brady. Thank y'all for tuning into the storyboard and look forward for more. Peace.